Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome back to Spirit of Madikwe, Africa's Majesty. Yeah, today's video is not the update that we actually wanted to give you on our campaign. It is due and it will follow the next couple of days. But the real issue that we have today is a major disaster that we have seen and that kind of we saw happening a little bit, which we kind of initiated this whole idea of Spirit of Madikwe and the way we want to approach tourism and everything. But yeah, it kind of struck us much faster and much harder than we anticipated. And maybe Arthur, maybe you can also start explaining a bit more about the background. And then also after that, we can start sharing what is happening really.
Okay, good day, folks. Good to be back. Yeah, just please excuse the eye. There's a little bit of pollen in the air, so I look like I went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, but I didn't really. So, as things are at the moment, we just need to explain quickly. So, Matthias, you and I met at Madikwe Game Reserve. And
Yes.
Spirit of Madikwe was born because of Madikwe Game Reserve.
Yes.
And I don't think a part that people have connected yet is just because we have a name, the word Madikwe in our name, we are in no way affiliated to the reserve. It's just a throwback to where all this started. But by the way, the tagline that Matthias likes to use at the beginning of the video is Africa's Majesty. That's basically what Madikwe means, Africa's Majesty.
And that is why we really want to keep that name, yeah.
Exactly. But we do have some bad news about the reserve. So over the last weekend, some information has come to light. And actually, I can honestly say it's something that's been a long time coming. Little things that, just to take you back, Matthias, remember when we did our game drives, I showed you things in the reserve and I said to you, this is a problem. This is what happens when an area gets exploited for tourism. And it is now come to the point where Madikwe Game Reserve is in a crisis. A crisis to the point where, according to this article that was released by the True Green Alliance, who did an inspection on the reserve, as well as the SPCA, which is the Animal Anti-Cruelty Organization in South Africa. They also did an inspection on the reserve, and what they found is concerning. So, according to this article, between August last year and now, we're looking at about 60 elephants that have perished, not because they are hunted by lions, not because they were killed by humans, but starvation. So the crux of the matter is this. The reserve is overpopulated with animals, specifically elephants. Between 1,600 and 1,700 elephants in a reserve that has the carrying capacity for just over 100 elephants. And then we go into it that there are still other herbivores that rely on the same food. So buffaloes, giraffes, zebras, rhinos. Some of the rhinos have also been found to be in horrible condition. Yeah, it's shocking, Matthias. I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm frankly I'm outraged.
I mean, it's kind of odd. So I've been the last time I've been to Madikwe is March this year. I mean, it was dry, it was a drought, but it didn't feel too hot. I mean, they have been praying for rain. I know that. But since then, I received a couple of questions already from other tourists that have been to Madikwe and asked about, hey, what's going on there? We saw a lot of dry land, a lot of starvation, and I was like, hey, I've been there in March. I couldn't imagine that this happened that fast. But looking at
Well,
this
it's
article, yeah.
it's like the best way I can explain it is the ecosystem is like a game of Jenga.
Mm-hmm.
And you take one block out here and the tower still stands, and you take another block out here and the tower still stands, and then you just get to that tipping point, and it's not a slow, gradual collapse. It just everything crashes in. I mean, look at that photo there. If you go down a little bit, two things I'd like to point out. So the article talks a lot about the elephants, but if you just go up to that previous photo of the buffaloes, look at the hip bones sticking up. All those buffaloes are undernourished.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it from here. It looks like a cattle that's about to die, like cattle that's about to die of starvation. And because they are, because of the way their digestive system works, they literally have these bloated bellies. So you can't look at their bellies and say, "Oh no, they've had enough to eat." Look at the backs. Look at their hip bones. You're not supposed to see a buffalo's hip bones sticking out like that. And then something else that's also very telling is if you go down to the next photo, the last photo on the page. Yeah, look at where the road and the fence runs, and then look what it looks like inside the reserve, and look what it looks like outside the reserve.
So it's clearly indicated that this is not just about drought or anything. It's just really...
The rest of the area is fine and green and whatnot. So now I'm sorry where, yeah, I'm going to be very unpopular, but this is what's happening in that reserve. So first of all, Madikwe is not open to the public. You can't go and self-drive in Madikwe. Secondly, so you have private lodges inside, and they all make a living from bringing tourists to the reserve, whatnot. Now, it's exactly what we spoke about in our first podcast about why we want to change the tourism industry. Because the money is pouring into the lodges. It's the lodge's responsibility to pass that finances on to run the reserve. But now we've got two things happening. So, first of all, the money is now being spent on the wrong stuff because they're very quick to fix roads because they want their tourists to have a nice, comfortable drive on safari. Secondly, if you look at something like, let's take the elephant problem. Let's forget about culling for a moment. Let's say we want to do a population control program and we want to use prophylaxis, pregnancy, contraceptives. That's going to cost quite a bit of money, which means the lodges have to give up more of their profit to run that program. And they're not willing to do that because the lodges are owned by shareholders and the shareholders want their profit. So the money is not going back into the reserve like it's supposed to. And then comes the biggest evil of all. When you, and I'll give you proof of this now, proof positive. When you talk about reducing the number of animals in the reserve because they are eating too much food and it's not working well, then immediately all the lodges get upset because that means we're going to have less sightings, so it's going to be as popular for tourists, which means we're going to make less money. So they want the overabundance of game. Okay, and now I'm going to tell you why I say this is the case, because this has hit the press. It has been reported on by the SPCA. It has been reported on by SUCo. It has been reported on by the True Green Alliance. It has been reported on social media by various conservation organizations. What's been said by any of the lodges in the reserve or any of the management of the reserve? Absolutely nothing. Not
that is really the biggest shame, I think. Yeah. So
okay,
it's kind of thought that it's not being addressed.
Yeah, in fact, I'm not gonna mention any names. But one of the lodges was using the overpopulation of elephants to advertise why it's a good place to go on safari. Because you're guaranteed to see lions, you're guaranteed to see elephants because we've got this massive population.
Yeah.
You know, so now we can get in why I'm so outraged, and that is, as you know, Matthias, I worked on this reserve. I guided this reserve every day for more than a year. And I know exactly what's going on in this reserve, to the point where I know how much money is flowing into the reserve, and I also know that when a lion needs a vet, they ask the guests to sponsor money to pay for the vet, because the park, the people running the reserve don't want to spend the money on vet sports.
It's really sad. It's really sad. I mean, just from a tourist standpoint, it's great. You're sitting there, you watch, you see the elephants, you see the animals and the wildlife. You enjoy it, but you just don't know what's going on in the background. And I think this is why it's very important for us to really point that out. That yes, if you see a lot of animals in a reserve like this, even that, I mean, Madikwe is like one of the largest reserves in South Africa. But still, if you see that abundance of wildlife, this means it's taking the toll on the land. And I don't want to stress that comparison, but yeah, you could also go into a zoo and see that same thing. But at least in a zoo, they keep feeding the animals from the outside, yeah.
Well, exactly. I mean,
overstretched. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you know, and it's so sad for me because, you know, this reserve has got. It used to be a beautiful reserve, but the reality now is, starvation. You're going to see elephant carcasses and probably be told that this elephant was taken out because it attacked a car or did something wrong or whatever. But the reality is it's a carcass of an elephant that died of starvation because there's not enough food. And now let's talk about, for lack of a better term, the elephant in the room. We now have to realize that as much as we love the reserve, you're looking at 20 to 25 years of mismanagement.
Yeah. And
generally that translates to 50 to 100 years before the reserve can be recovered.
It's heartbreaking. You know? I think, I mean, they use the term nuclear bomb, but pretty much that.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like a nuclear. It does look like a nuclear winter.
Oh.
You know, it's reminiscent of, I don't know if you remember the Mad Max movies,
Yeah.
that desolate landscape after the worldwide nuclear war. That's what it looks like.
No. So
And it's horrible. Remember, we spoke about it, that we saw this coming, but I must be honest, we didn't realize it was going to be this quick, because we both last saw the reserve around about March, and the elephant death started in August.
Yeah.
So at the end of the dry season, the whole ecosystem just collapsed. It just couldn't go anymore. And the problem you have now is you still have the overpopulation of animals in general. It's not just elephants, it's all animals, except for the predators. The predators were specifically kept at low numbers so that they don't eat the other animal things for the tourists. So you have a situation now where as soon as anything starts growing, it's going to be eaten.
Yeah, well,
so theoretically, the only way to fix this is you have to go in and reduce the number of animals to below the carrying capacity.
To actually give it a chance to reestablish.
To recover.
But Arthur, I think, yeah, we wanted to make it like a short video of it. Guys, it's shocking. It's really devastating. It's heartbreaking for me, because this reserve is really, was or is actually still kind of a great reserve, a great place.
It's a special place for both of us.
Yeah, it's the conclusion obviously is, I mean, for us, if we want to do tours, we cannot do it with a good conscience to get you there, unless you specifically ask for it and want to see what happens after this kind of disaster. But other than that, we obviously cannot really do that anymore. The other thing, if you have specific questions, about the management, we do have also, as Arthur indicated, specific insights into predator management and all these kind of things that happen specifically on Madikwe. We will, please let us know, and we can do a follow-up video on this. I think, as I said, the next video that we owe you is the update on our project. This is due to come soon. Yeah, but really, let us know in the comments what you think about this. What is your take on this disaster? We will put the link to this page that you're seeing here on the screen below. We will add a couple of other sources so you can have yourself a look into this. And yeah, I can't say it anything else, but I hope that this comes out more in public, not just in South Africa, but internationally, because this is really something that needs to be addressed, and this is the change that we are also working for.
Yeah,
really
so from my side,
all these TGA and the other organizations that brought this up. So really, True Green Alliance, Sustainable Use Coalition, and the SABC, or which one was that?
SPCA.
SPCA, yeah.
Yeah.
So really it's good.
Just from my side, I hope people can now see that we're not just talking, that our project is there to try and bring sustainability and avoid things like this.
Yeah. So thank you very much for listening in, watching this video. Let us know what you think about it. And yeah, talk to you again very soon. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.